So now we have an hour together. We are going to. Oh, I can hear myself. Where we are going to talk about entrepreneurial learning and the possibilities and challenges around that.
Maybe I should go out.
I'm sorry, I'm hearing myself as an echo when I speak, so it's interesting. But okay, let's go. I would invite you all to during this session when we talk to each other to have this in your mind. What do you see here? What do you think about what you see? And do you wonder anything about this? So just keep this as let this be in the background. I would like to start to invite you all to imagine a society where young and elderly people are involved and lead the development forward. Where schools are thriving meeting places for sustainable social transformation, innovation, and learning. Authorities, business, academy, and society work together to share ideas and resources. And all citizens discover and develop their talents to create a positive future for themselves and their city or society. Not all of us lives in the city, because I think this capture most of the entrepreneurial learning, what we put in this context. And these words are, if you Google a project from Chicago called Imagine Chicago, there was a lady called Bliss Brown who worked for several years to develop Chicago, the city there, and involve the people to turn the society from a society full of violence and criminal actions, and to make a flourishing society. And I think it also captures very well the core of entrepreneurial learning. But before we start, I would just like to do a very short check-in. Where do you come from when it comes to entrepreneurial learning? What's your relation to this words, this pedagogy, this method? What's your experiences? And it can be just one or two words. What do you think about when you hear entrepreneurial learning? So just take a minute to think about it, and then I would like to ask you, what comes in your mind? Shall we start with Slovenia? I see you have entered the meeting. Welcome.
I can say something, Johanna.
Yes.
And with that, I also we try to work in the same room, but I moved to my host room. So I'm an invisible man, and I'm the NAV Sweden host here. So, but I think I will try to kind of follow you and make some comments. So I just presenting that as well. But the first thing that comes to me when I think about school and the relational to this transformative learning thing is that the conditions, the structures and the conditions within and specifically around the school is so much forming the role that the teacher and the students and parents and people around in society can play. And we have so much struggle with changing schools, but the conditions around schools must also be part of the change. So that's the learning I have, and I think we will cover part of that in this hour. So, but I will start with that reflection. So I think the transformative learning really involve the conditions around the schools. That's what comes to me first. Thank you.
Yes. So, Jeannie, what do you think about when you hear entrepreneurial?
I will piggyback a little bit with what Daniel said about structure. And that is because my experience is in Norway as a teacher, that there is an entrepreneurial group of people that come into your school and do a week-long, maybe 3 or 4 day long show where the kids or the students are supposed to create something that's innovative and interesting, and then they leave and then it's done. So that's my experience when you use the word entrepreneurial learning is this project-based entrepreneurskap is what they call it here, and not anything what I consider sustainable, something that would be and by no means transformative, that carried on through action or agency afterwards. And that has to do with the structure of our time as teachers and our time, how we present it. So that's my experience about it.
Yeah. So, Maggan, what do you say?
I didn't think of this word as a pedagogical approach at all from the beginning, because I related it to business and business life and organizing things and arrangements. But if I look at it now, I think it has to do with creativity, or to enhancing the children's creativity and problem solving skills. So I have changed my view on this word.
Yes. Akke?
Yeah, we have been talking about entrepreneurial learning a lot with teachers within my in-service education courses, and their pre-understanding is usually the one that Ginny was into, and Maggan also talked about business, starting companies where money is involved, and so what. And usually they think it's something for the older students, not for the youngest. And when we then work a lot with problem solving, innovation, and social work in different contexts, and they realize it's built on knowledge. You have to know something to solve problems, but usually kids that kids can find their own strengths in another way than in more traditional schoolwork. So it gives a lot to the teaching and learning when you start to read between the lines in the curriculum and look for it, what entrepreneurial learning could be, and where it's very useful for the teacher, for pupils learning and understanding bigger things and like that. So it's a positive thing. So problem solving in a positive way for me.
Yes, thank you. Krista, you wanted to say something.
Yes, I have also been thinking a lot of this entrepreneurship in school, and in our school we have solved it with these pupil agents, elevagenter, and our thought of it is that we can use the school as a miniature society and learn the children to be involved in things that has something to do with their vardag, everyday life, and that they get the chance to take part of the when there's some, now I'm losing all the words, but the yes, but be an active part of the that what involve or where they are involved, like in their school milieu.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else want to say something? Jeannie, did you want to say something? No? Jeannie, you have to put your microphone.
Yeah, I had to find it.
Yes.
I actually just wrote a comment more than because I was interested when you said looking into the curriculum, you'll find it. Find these on critique, and of course I'm very interested in curriculum development, and I'm wondering, are those words entrepreneurial learning mentioned specifically in the curriculums? I see it. Yes, in Sweden it is. Yeah.
Yes, in Finland too.
Mm-hmm. And I have to ask my colleagues that are here if they know if it is in Norway. I don't think those exact words are used, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yes. Slovenia, did you want to say something?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, we weren't sure. Actually, we have been working on this kind of learning for a few years in Slovenia, 3 in our school, and we also have extra activity where I was talking about that. We have our own school TV where we film different projects, and so kids are using different technology and try to be active participants in school area and all the events that are going on here.
Yes. So, thank you. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Thank you all. And as you have been mentioned, this is a pedagogy with many different names, and it has changed name during the years. You can talk about sometimes you hear entrepreneurship in school, and the problem with that is, and some of you mentioned it, that it's so connected to the business thinking, so that became a problem. And in Sweden, I couldn't translate this into English because I didn't know how, but then you started to some people, and in some schools, some teachers and school development started to say, ta sig församhet. I don't know how to be able to, what do you say? The förmåga. I lost the word. Förmåga. Anyone, please?
Skill.
Ability.
Ability.
Yes, the ability to do something, to make a change, to yes, to change something that you want to see happen, and it also changes to entrepreneurial learning. And now I think in Sweden we are starting to talk a lot about value creation pedagogy. And I think it has its roots from a man called Martin Lackeus, who works at Chalmers University in Gothenburg. And we are going to hear him describe value creation pedagogy, what it is, how and how it can work. And it's a movie about 8-10 minutes long, but I think it's he summers it up in a very good way, and you will recognize many things of what you just mentioned about entrepreneurial learning, so you will recognize it. It's another Erasmus project, so.
Hi, my name is Martin Lackeus. I work as an educational researcher at Chalmers University. In this video, I will go through what has come to be called value creation pedagogy. I will talk about it from 3 perspectives: what, why, and how. In short, value creation pedagogy is about getting deeper learning on all levels of the education system. It is achieved by connecting knowledge with action. It can be done for children in preschool, for pupils in compulsory schools or high schools, for students at universities and colleges, and for adult learners in educational activities in general. When their knowledge and skills are directed outwards so that they get an opportunity to create something of value to external people here and now, their sense of meaningfulness in learning increases sharply. Then their knowledge is also deepened, and this makes them perform better academically too. But let's be more specific about value creation pedagogy. What does this mean? Well, it's basically about learning through creating value for others. Let students learn by applying their knowledge and skills to try to create something of value to at least one external stakeholder outside their group, class, or school. Learning knowledge and skills is of course the goal, but value creation for others is the means that enhances this goal. It is a creative exercise. Students create something physical or intellectual that is to be appreciated by an external person who then gives feedback. It is the attempt that counts, not the potential value that might be created. The one they are trying to create value for needs to be able to give feedback on how it was perceived. This means that not only people can be recipients of value, animals and indeed plants can also provide feedback. A plant will become green if you take good care of it. Built into this definition, we also find a progression model. Students can start by creating value for someone outside their own group, but within their own class. Then they can go ahead and create value outside their class, but within the safe walls of the school, college, or university. In the last step, they take the step out in society and then also enjoy the strongest effects on learning, motivation, and engagement. But what does the word value mean? Well, here is a model for what value can mean. The model shows 5 different types of value that can be created for oneself and for others. This gives us a total of 10 different perspectives on value. People can create enjoyment value, social value, harmony value, influence value, or economic value, both for themselves and for others. Here are some examples of value creation pedagogy in practice. In our research, we have studied examples from all levels of education. Children in preschool have helped architects design a new building. Students in primary school have lobbied in national media to save their favorite TV program from being cancelled. Students in primary school have taught elderly how to use iPads. Students in a primary school in Turkey have used waste materials to craft toys for orphan kids. Students in a lower secondary school have arranged sport activities for refugees. Students in an upper secondary school have written the music to text written by younger students. Music students at the university have developed their own personal value pitch. University students in architecture have worked with real missions in society. University students in chemistry have educated people in working life in biomaterials. Students have also, for example, been asked to write an elderly person's biography. They've been tourist guides. They have helped pubs to be environmentally conscious. They have made fire safety reports for their own homes. They have written books. They've engaged in issues close to their hearts, such as internet hate. They have debated in the local media. They've tried to act on the United Nations 17 sustainability goals. They have helped architects design a new playground. They have helped researchers collect data, and much, much more. Well, a lot of examples. But what is the pattern here? I think that value creation pedagogy illustrates a paradox, an altruistic paradox. It seems that we humans are more motivated by creating value for others in 10 minutes than by creating value for ourselves in 10 years. And if that's the case, it might be better to ask students, for whom is this knowledge valuable today, than to say to them, you will have use for this knowledge in the future. So how can a teacher know if an activity is in line with what we here label value creation pedagogy? Here are two questions any teacher can ask herself. If the answer to both questions is yes, then it is a case of value creation pedagogy. Question 1. Are my students expected to interact with someone outside their own group, class, or school, even if it can be scary? And question 2. Are my students expected to try to create something of value for someone outside their own group, class, or school? Two simple questions. Now, let's turn to the why question around value creation pedagogy. There are 4 difficult and important challenges that all teachers face and where value creation pedagogy can help. Value creation pedagogy gives us more motivated students who feel more meaning in their education and therefore work harder and learn more. Value creation pedagogy makes it easier for teachers to achieve pedagogical variation and thus reach more of their students, or even all of them, in a better way. Value creation pedagogy gives a much better social climate in the class, which leads to less conflict in class, which in turn makes students collaborate better together and thus learn more. Value creation pedagogy makes students develop their entrepreneurial competences, which will make them succeed better in working life and in life as a whole. These are all effects we have seen in our research on value creation pedagogy. Finally, let's look at how to do value creation pedagogy. The most important thing to remember is that you don't need to change your entire pedagogical approach. Just add a drop of interaction with the outside world for your students, and a drop or two of letting your students create value for external people. No need to mix even. The new color will spread throughout everything you do in the classroom. And if you work like this from time to time, over and over, a new culture will establish in your class. For every new assignment, students will always ask themselves, for whom can we do this? Value creation pedagogy is also about inviting your students to co-create. Asking questions to your students is a powerful approach, such as, for whom can this knowledge be valuable today? What effects can we create based on who we are and what we care about, what we can and who we know? What works well and how can we get more of that? How can we know what people need? Let's go out and ask them. How can we know what is valuable? Let's test the prototype. If we look at how teachers have actually worked in practice with value creation pedagogy, we see a number of things. Students have been activists. Students have tried a profession, small scale, such as engineer, journalist, architect. Students have helped other people, ordinary people, or particularly vulnerable people. Students have been guided in their careers. Students have worked across subjects. Students with different diagnoses have been helped in particular, since a lack of resilience in the face of a meaningless school is common. Finally, a really good starting point for value creation pedagogy is United Nations 17 Sustainability Goals. Just ask your students, how can we use our knowledge and skills to act on goal number 2, 6, 14, etc.? Okay, that was all. Thank you for listening. If you want to read more about our work with value creation pedagogy, go to the website www.vcplist.com. Bye for now.
So I think he touches a lot of things that is going to. Sorry, the technique is not with me today. I want to see you. Oh, never mind. Well, so Daniel and I would like to share our experiences around entrepreneurial learning, because both of us has been working with this for several years, over 20 years. And one question that we have found is important to always carry with you in everything you do in your school with your students is, who are we actually educating and for what kind of society? How does this group of children, this individual person that stands before me and that I have the fortune to spend time together with, who is this person? What is he or she or they interested of? How does the society around our school, what is happening here? And how can we combine those two things? And what are the consequences for our school? What does it mean for us? So what can a school be and what can a school become? And that's almost a philosophical question, I think. Sorry, I'm just going to see if because I'm sorry, but I need to see you. That is,
And while you're working on it, I can at least when the kids and the students are a little bit older, when they are invited to ask this question and become a part of this development, and if they really feel they are welcome to think about a school that it's not the school doesn't have to be what it was. It can be a part of changing it. Can meet their needs. We have experienced a very strong commitment, at least for some students, who really uses their best to take on this challenge and to really add values and perspectives that are so valuable for the city, for the commune, and for the school and for the society. So it's very important that this question shouldn't be asked if we not are serious about that the students should be on the deepest level be involved in changing school and society. Yeah.
Yes, and I think one of the key points here is the interaction between the school and the outside world, and that the school really is a part of the outside world, and that the outside world are invited in the school, because then something happens. So I think that's one of the keys to just find this person or group that shares what's happening. And what we have learned or experienced is that if you look at the roles, the teacher roles, for example, that it's more of designing learning situations, and you have to be really aware of the situation. And I like the picture of the teacher as a gardener, because when you work as a gardener or a farmer, Ylva, you take the soil, the little plant, the seed, and if we see the student as the seed, you want the seed to grow into a fantastic plant. So you are very careful with this seed, where you put it. You will find the best soil, and if the soil is not perfect, you add a little nutrition to the soil. You water it, you dig it, and you think that so that air comes in, and it's very important. There are some worms around it, and etc. etc. And you put down the soil, and then you wait, and you water it, and you go and maybe you put some cow poo there, etc. And you wait. But in school, when we have the seed, we put it down, and then we dig it up to see, have you grown? Oh yes, let me take make sure you have grown 1 millimeter. I'll put you down again. And then you wait for a little while, and you put it, and you take it up again, and because that's the system. So we take this little seed, and we measure it, and we don't have the trust in the seed to grow in connection to the surrounding environment around the seed. And I think that's very important in entrepreneurial learning, that you are very aware of what is happening around us, and you trust the student to grow, but you also help it by watering, or oh, you can look there, maybe we can go and visit this place, or have you asked this question, and etc. etc.
Should I add some?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so I think what our shared experience then is that we really tried this within some of our school projects. We've been part of starting a few schools, and there, even though there was many good things that could happen there was also a lot of, as you say, limits regarding to the system and what we had to do. So that's actually the reason why NAV came about. At least it's part of the main reason why we started something called NAV, because we felt that there must be conditions around schools that that makes the collaboration with the outside world easier and more attractive and fun, and well, you can say many things, deeper in a way, but most of all possible, because we all know that teachers are super busy with doing their things, and if they are not supported and invited and developing relationships with other parts of society that can help them, they will be very alone in their classroom or in their schools. So that's very important in our experience to really underline. Yeah, Johanna.
Yeah, and yes, and also that to see that I think for me, when I worked as a teacher, I tried to work see me as the whole person, not just me as a teacher, because as Johanna as a person, I have interests, I have contacts, I do things, and to bring that into my role as a teacher as well, because that can help me find people who can help me fulfill my curriculum, and who is interested in getting relations to my students, and to find projects that we can do together. So to use people in my network, even in my teaching role.
So one example in Sweden is that we had this. I don't have the details now, but there was. We realized a few years ago that programming in computing was a kind of a key competence that should be developed. So the typical take on that in at least in Sweden is then we have to teach the teachers, learn the teachers, so send them to programming courses so they can develop their courses. But and at the same time, the easiest competence to find in the world, and in Stockholm, for instance, is the most common job is programmer. So the competence is everywhere around the school, and we know that to really learn a teacher that should be able to teach in programming takes years. So why are we not working, as you say, Johanna, with teaching teachers to become learning designers that really find the competences outside and everywhere, and online and physically in the communities. So that's an example of the role of the teacher, that we could move much faster and deeper and have so many more qualities if we can work at least in both ways.
I see that we have some people who want to say something. Shall we start with you, Krista?
Sorry, I think my hand is
okay. I take
is the old hand.
Yes. Ylva, you want to say something?
Yeah, I first met this word with entrepreneurial learning when it was a storyline conference in Glasgow, and they had that as a theme. And at the time, I found it very problematic because in my head it was just about starting companies. But then, of course, there is a broader meaning. But I think the word is a bit problematic actually, because if we are using it for working for sustainable development, we can't have the word as grab every opportunity on that you find in life, because that can mean that you grab the opportunity to earn a lot of money on the cost of nature resources and your neighbors and whatever. And I think it's important to have it into the value creation part of things. That if we want to work with entrepreneurial learning in school, we need to see it as creating value for nature, creating value for someone else, building networks, and not grab whatever you can entrepreneurial learning. And I think that is an important thing to discuss. Because it's easy when you have a concept like this that you want to promote any action from the students. And maybe that is not what we want to do in this project. I mean, you can do that if you're teaching economy, for example, but here we are concentrating on learning for sustainability and resilience. And then again, I've said this several times now, but again, I think it's important to think about the resilience part. So if we can sort of think about entrepreneurial learning in this context, I think it's very important. It's not just doing anything within entrepreneurial learning. It's doing something that turns us into a more resilient society. Sorry for interrupting, but yeah.
No problem. And yes, and I think that's also why in Sweden we are turning more away from this word entrepreneurial learning and going into more value creation. And yes, I think so. Jeannie wants to say something.
I think also that we value creation. I have to admit, my first reaction to that was, whose value am I going to create? You know, that I come from a background of where the thought that I would be creating somebody's value. Not that that's not what it is. When we listened to the video, I felt like it was lovely the way he basically said, you know, how can what we learn be given over to somebody else, given somebody else's a value, a goodness. But the word value creation can also be problematic because it has it's at least for me, I just kept thinking, I put it into a different category than what this video showed us. So I think we also need to be very aware of using that and explaining it in the same time, at the same time.
Yes. Okay. So what we are thinking about right now a lot is what would happen if the school were acting in relation to places such as NAV, for instance, or what would happen if school were a place like NAV. Do you want to comment anything, Daniel? Actually,
yeah, I can. Yeah, so maybe we should say something about what NAV is then, and we had some. Did you find some pictures?
Yeah, I did.
So I just, some of you already know what it is, but it's actually changing a lot, because we're trying to find places where it's not too expensive, which means that we are allowed to invite people that have good ideas and a lot of competence, but they have not formed their business yet, or their entrepreneurship, or if they are artists, or if they are researchers. And many people in society and in the business world, they need also to combine their traditional work with spaces that are more free. So the idea is that we have the 7th place since 2012 when we opened it. So now we are running 3 places pretty close to each other, but they have different roles. But there are meeting places, and there are always a stage, and there are conference rooms, and there are ateliers, and there are workshop areas. So part of it forms itself in a way, and we try really to, the agenda we have is to form questions around our common challenges, like climate change and physical and vad heter psykisk ohälsa and that kind of things. So there is an agenda in the middle, but it always forms by the network. And we since we are a free platform, not run by orders from city, commune, or other authorities, we can play around much more. So I think, and what we try to do is, for instance, right now outside my room here, we have Nacka Commune working with city development partners right now, and they choose to come here because they feel that the dialogues are different when they are here compared to when they are in the city hall. So something happens when it's a little bit more free and not run by specific interests driven economy and that kind of things. So and one other quality is that the mix between generations is happening, and that also is something we are really lacking in society. And when we are mixing in a natural way between generations, things happens. They become interesting dialogues, and so it's really important to know. Yeah, well, that's a short version. Johanna, take over from there.
Yes, I would like to give you a very short example, and it's the story of an ice cream factory. And it started, I think it's 2.5 years from now, when a school here in Nacka had a problem they needed to solve, because the school was growing. They were having more students coming into the school, and the school premises became too crowded. They needed more space, and the area where they were having their school, there were no premises available for running a school, but there were premises where you were allowed to sell things. So there were premises for free. Well, let me see. It looked like this. So this was available, but in there, it's not allowed to run a school, but you can sell things in there. And so they the headmaster is a very driven person. So she asked the students, "What do you think we should do? We need this. We need this area, but we can't run a school in there. What shall we do?" And the children said, "Let's make an ice cream factory."
And Johanna, I must, it's kind of ironic because
Yeah.
the theme, which is in the conference now,
Yeah.
in the other room here,
Yeah.
is actually about bottom floor. How should cities work with those
Okay.
commercial floors
Yeah.
to have a more vibrant and meaningful activity.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah. So and the school asked me if I wanted to help them to realize this idea, and it was yes, they wanted to start the ice cream factory, but they also wanted to run a school in the ice cream factory. So yes. So what we did, they signed the contract with the stake owners, and then we went in there with the children, and we said, okay, how are we going to make this into a ice cream factory? So they started to think, what do we need? So here they are thinking about that. Some were starting to draw. They draw maps. Okay, so he is drawing a map of the place, and you can see the squares. He have drawn the floor. You can see the floor is there. It's the tiles, and then he realized, no, I can't see what I'm putting here. So he's redoing it on the other side, so he can see the furnitures and whatever he wants to put in there. And this is how it looked. They contacted Nacka municipality because if you want to sell something, you need the authorities to know, and you have to have the license because it's something you eat, and it's very important that it's right. And I didn't think that Nacka Kommun would approve this, but they did. So yeah, good. And so we continued to think about what we were going to have, and we put it on display in the room. And the headline for this, we are thinking about how this place shall look. So this is the and we this is our thoughts about the ice cream. What qualities do we think about the ice cream? Flavors. They were very much into the ice cream was about to be ecological, and so they also wanted to use milk and cream and eggs from the surrounding area. They were very, very much into this thinking. What do we need to do this? And of course, we have to learn how to make ice cream. So they Googled recipes, and they tried this in a very small area. So we made a lot of ice cream, and then we have to taste it and see which recipes are good. What are we going to keep? We needed to tidy this rooms, so we started to doing that. We went to other professionals who we're making ice creams. How do you do? What do we need to think about, etc. And of course, we have to test ice cream. You have to have furniture, so you have to order furniture on IKEA, and you have to screw them together and put them there. So we did that. And this is a list of what we have to buy. We need cloth and we need garbage bags and toilet paper and everything. And we have to unpack it. And we have to, again, test how to make ice cream. It's very important. And then now this started in, say, September, October. Now it's May. And they have had, the ice cream factory hasn't opened yet, but there was a local church who were celebrating something, I don't remember what, but they had a day for families, and they knew that these schools were soon to be open an ice cream factory. So they invited the children to the first selling opportunity. So this is the first time they are selling ice cream outside the factory. And here is a picture from the ice cream factory after about a year. And this is from just the other week, I think. No, a month ago. So they are open and they sell ice cream. This is the area around. And they have also made a little brand and decided what the package is going to look like, etc., etc. So now it's a running ice cream factory, and of course they are also having other lessons in this area, because sometimes they are sitting there having math, they are having music, etc. But it's also an ice cream factory. So it's both a school and a nice and a place where you can go and buy ice cream, and it's really good. It is. Imagine a society where young and elderly people are involved to lead the development forward. What I think what these children did was, yes, they had a dream of an ice cream factory, but they also build a school, and into this ice cream factory, many different people come inside. They meet the children, they talk to the children. It's a meeting place where the children are and where grown-ups are and other children, etc. Authorities, business, academy, and society work together to share ideas and resources. Yeah, I think they are onto something here. It's a very interesting project, and well, it's okay. And what do you think when you hear this? Is it? I don't mean that all schools shall start ice cream factory, but I think the school had a problem they needed to solve, and they did it by starting an ice cream factory. And I didn't see that coming.
I think also it's very inspiring, this project, Johanna, that you're sharing. I was not involved in that at all, but it's so inspiring. And I think when we're talking about resilience, it's very easy to talk about other things than the deep need of living vibrant communities where it's easy to find and trust people, and that you know people around in the community that you can work together with. So small communities where you can actually start things and change things together in the community is one of the most important skills that we can teach ourselves and practice. And it's not about teaching young students, it's about teaching all of us to find ways to meet challenges. This was well, a big challenge for the school to grow, but it's just, you know, we have a lot of challenges, as we know, and it's easy to just concentrate on those big agreements, Paris Agreement, and the big system. But I'm very convinced that we really need to focus the other way around and work from the bottom up to support living communities. So this is a very good example, I think.
I see the time has running, but we have some of you who want to say something. Anna, what do you want to say?
I think you're brave, Johanna. No, yes, we teacher, we need to be more, we need courage to do such things, and we need to find ways that we not will be so afraid of the cows. Do you understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think we need to talk about that in the schools. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Krista?
Yes, I'm also so happy to hear about this, because I'm really impressed. And I think that in this process, when you started up this ice cream factory, there's so many skills that the pupils have learned during the process for life, you know. So I think that this is the thing we should do more of in our schools.
Magan?
Yes, I think this is an example of what you talked about before, Johanna. You said that a teacher should design learning situations. And I think this is an example of that. And that means that learning is always situated. So this is what happens here and now. And next time you won't do this, you will do something else. And I also think this is an example of relational pedagogical approach, which I talked about last time, and that this relation will go outside the traditional classroom. So you start relations with the community around the school. So I think it's a good example.
Thank you. Eva?
I agree with what's already said, and I think we in this project could try to go a little bit deeper in the connection between entrepreneurial learning and resilience, and how we sort of
take care of resilience in school in that way. So I think it's interesting, and I want to make that a possibility to discuss more in the afternoon when we have the open space to discuss in deeper groups, deeper thoughts about how can we make a school like this. And I also think we have schools in our project that I think of you, Mattia and Katja. We are going to Slovenia in the spring, and I know that you're working in a very interesting way, and I hope we can learn a lot from you and our visit there. So it's very interesting, and I before I end my speak, I want to thank you, Daniel and Johanna, for this moment, and I hope we can have a little technical pause now so we can go and drink something before we start the next session. But I see Mattia want to say something first. But thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mattia.
Okay, we just wanted to tell you that we are actually developing this kind of project, but I think it's very connected with resilience and sustainability, because we are making cream for pets, and it is made of beeswax and spruce resin. So we tried to cover the sustainability, resilience, and even develop the marketing plan, how to promote this and sell this thing. So we will represent that in June when you all come to Slovenia. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Eva, shall we take a technical break for 5 minutes, 10 minutes? So let's meet here again, 5 to 11. Thank you.